Hey guys, it's your boy Ferris, and I know what you're thinking. What is this map theme and how can you get a hold of it? Yeah, no, this is Google Earth. So you're actually wondering, why are we looking at Google Earth? This is supposed to be a City Skylines gameplay. Well, this project that I'm embarking on and I'm going to show you the build of in the next couple episodes is very, very specifically inspired. And it's inspired by this little apartment neighborhood here, which is outside of Tampa in northwest Hillsborough County, and it's where I lived for quite a few years, and it's called Tuscany Bay. So, I mean, we're looking at very much an overview of it right now, and it's actually a lot bigger. I'm looking at this, I realize it's a lot bigger now than it was when I lived there. I think when I lived there, it cut off right here, or maybe up here, but it looks like they've added on a lot more apartments up here in the years since. So, and it has been a few years. I actually used to live in this building right over here and had a sweet view. This is like a nature preserve out here, so this is all undevelopable, and I had a great view of that. I used to sit on my back porch and just sort of chill and play guitar and hang out. So anyway, my build of the apartment complex for San Rafael Island was very much inspired by this one here, so I wanted to give you guys a quick look at it, a little tour of this area, so that you can take a look and see what I did in mind. First of all, we're going to do this at a street level, but first from the overhead, a couple of highlights. This really awesome pool area, and you can't really see it, but over here there's like another area where there's a couple grills set up and some other amenities, but you've got your pool, you've got this hot tub set over here, and these are all chairs hanging out around it. This over here is a sand volleyball court, which I tried to figure out how to do in the build for this, but I couldn't get the right net asset and just couldn't figure out a way to exactly make it work, so we didn't do that. This building here serves as the offices for the leasing company, and also kind of as like a clubhouse or a community house gathering place. There were some meeting rooms in there you could utilize and stuff like that, so that was pretty cool. So I think the next step then is to take a look at, there's some things I want to show you too, but we'll do that from the ground level. So let's go ahead and use this little yellow guy here, jump into Street View, and here we are. So coming in, there's this little traffic circle here, and then over here, something that's absolutely necessary, but I always see kind of forgotten, especially in city skyline builds. This is the garbage area. And it's well, shielded off. And when I do see people build their dumpster areas, like their community dumpster areas, they're always well shielded off by walls. And don't forget your tree growth around it too. So I mean, just looking at this, you can see how you could very conceivably do this with city skylines. I mean, you've got these plants, you've got these trees, you've got these pines, you've got these palms, you've got these ground plants, you've even got the flag props if you want to use them. So doing like something like this, and this is part of why I want to try to do it, because looking around, it's very much doable. It's a walled in, you can see the wall over here, it's a walled in community. And when I was living there, over in this area, well, I guess it still is. It looks like it's gated, but you needed security to get through here and passcodes. It looks like I guess you still do, but I wasn't sure about that, and I didn't necessarily want to go there. It seems like that would just make my build a little bit more complicated. But let's take a ride in through here, through the main gate, and around here. Now you see the main road here is dotted with parking on both sides, and then you've got these aren't really garages, they're more like storage areas. I don't recall people parking in them, but I recall people using them for storage. And then the apartment buildings themselves, very close to the street, very close to the parking, easy access for the people that lived there. And lots of tree growth, lots of tree coverage, lots of landscaping. Just makes it feel like a little oasis away from the city, a little place that's calm, quiet, peaceful, a good sense of community here. It actually was a really nice place to live. And we made a lot of good friends during the time that I was living there. and I remember it very fondly. So again, lots of landscaping, lots of parking, and the apartments themselves look really nice. So I think you get the general gist of it from here. This was my inspiration. This is what I was thinking of. Oh, there's a couple other things. There's one other thing I would point out as well. This over here looks absolutely hideous, but it's actually not as bad as it looks, and it's a little playground. So there's a little playground there with a slide thing and some other stuff, some swings and stuff like that over there. It doesn't come out really good here on Google Earth, but these water features that are here are more or less collection ponds for stormwater runoff, which are a very important part of any development, but which I'm quite frankly not thrilled about building in this game, so I often don't do it. But especially here in this part of Florida, where, a lot of it is very wet land, so you need to have a place for stormwater runoff, and that's what these are. So you're building uplands, you're got to put all that water that was being absorbed by those formerly wet areas somewhere, so they create these large retention pond areas. So in any event, this is what I was inspired by. Thank you for obliging me for a moment, just letting me take you a trip down memory lane for me, and a really kind of a cool time in my life when I lived here. So enjoy the rest, enjoy the build. And this is going to be a 2-episode series, so you won't see the finished product today, except I will kind of show it a little bit in a cinematic at the end. But stay tuned for the next episode, episode 7. I'll show you the total build in a live mode. But I may also jump into this time lapse and talk about some of the things I'm doing, so I will see you there. So right off the bat, you can see that I tried to pick some of the assets that have a very similar look and style, and even kind of the same color as the apartment buildings that we saw in Google Earth. And also, of course, opening the property up with a traffic circle, which sometime later you're going to see we get to doing a lot of a planting in there, very much like what exists in the real thing. I also want to duplicate the meandering, sort of curving roads that go through that property, which I'm sure is a traffic calming measure for them, but also I think it gives a much more neighborhood sort of feeling to it, rather than just putting a bunch of things down on a grid. I think this kind of scatters it, makes it a little more random, and makes it almost a little more comfortable that way. And gives you much more of a vantage points to view, not just a straight road in front of you, but also the plantings and the buildings themselves, because they're actually kind of nice. You can also see I left a nice big space in the middle of those 4 buildings. You can see it right in the middle there, and right from the start the plan was to have a nice pool and recreation area, a place for people to hang out and to relax. There's another thing I thought that was really cool about Tuscany Bay, was that they provided that for you, which I'm sure is not unique. I'm sure a lot of places do that, but I wanted to duplicate that here. Here I'm actually solving 2 problems at once. There's these cool assets which are covered parking, but they're parking that's covered with solar panels, so they actually do produce electricity for your city. I've been having a bit of an electricity problem. I started the city out with some wind turbines, and then went ahead and plopped down a waste-to-power generating facility. I'm about to get started on the build for the pool now. But the problem with that waste-to-power facility is that I don't actually generate enough waste yet, because I only have a population of, what is it there? It says 2,600 something. to be generating enough waste to produce that much power. And I also plopped an enormous recycling facility, which is cutting down on the waste. And so I figured, why not drop in these covered parking areas, which gives me a great way to produce a little extra power and also give this community that kind of cool covered parking feel and storage feel, so that it's not just bland parking lots up against the streets. I thought that was a cool way to kind of give this a little bit more attitude, a little bit more something original. And also, I like to think of it as kind of a very forward-thinking community. You know, they are concerned with green energy. They probably advertise to potential renters that, hey, we're powered completely by green energy. We like to keep it clean here. So as you can see with this pool, I'm utilizing this really awesome pool prop there. There's a handful of different pool props, and I thought about using some of the more kind of ornate and funky looking ones, like the one that actually exists at Tuscany Bay. But ultimately I wanted to be able to fill this space too, and I wanted it to be a pool that didn't look ridiculously small given the size of the community that we're trying to actually establish here. So I think that one does really well, and I really like the way the water looks. It looks like a pool. You know, you can almost smell the chlorine. It's got the little ladder props on the side for you to climb in, and it fit really nicely into this. Gave me plenty of room to drop down. You can see here we're doing a couple of small tubs, hot tubs, struggling with the placement of them, the orientation, and I think I moved them again a couple times. But and then the chairs, the chaise lounges, want to have lots of room for people to sit down after a long day of work or on the weekend and chill out, and then just kind of moving them around to randomize them a little bit. One thing I might not have pointed out about that Tuscany Bay one, there actually are some really nice planters around that pool area, and because of course it's Florida, they use lots of palms or small mini palms and things like that. Use a lot of really cool stuff. So I wanted to duplicate that same kind of a look and feel by doing some plantings around that pool, and of course the chairs too, which and not the chairs, but the tables with the umbrellas and stuff like that, because they had those kinds of areas set up there too, not just a place to just go swimming and sit out by the sun, but also a place to hang out, eat a dinner or a picnic outside if you want to. And that's the kind of thing I want to establish with this pool area too. Now we're getting to the wall that goes around the area, which again, I didn't want it to be a walled, gated community, but I think it's important to create that sort of boundary that this is a special place here, by utilizing this one entrance in and one entrance out, and then the wall. But plus these wall props look so cool, and creating also using it as a way of creating a special entrance, which I think you'll get a chance to see. I kind of create an area, and I borrow a little bit of this idea from another YouTuber who I've been watching a lot, who did this same kind of idea for I think it was like a hotel area or a resort, and then, you know, created like a flatted wall area like that, and then did some really cool plantings behind it. The paths that I put around here are also really important. One thing about Tuscany Bay that you might have noticed, especially in the overheads, is that behind the buildings themselves, away from the street, everything is connected by walkways, sidewalks, all around the buildings. Every building you can walk to without having to walk along the street, although you can get there that way too, but everything in behind is connected, and it was really easy, especially for people who lived on the same side of the property as where the pool area is, to get there without ever having to go on the street. They just walk through the backyards along the sidewalks. So I wanted to create that as well, to have some walkways in the back there for people to be able to get where they're going. Well, now I'm going to work on the garbage area, which, as I said before, was an important part of, you know, this being authentic and real. But we're also coming now towards the end of this time lapse. And before we do, I just want to remind you, this build is going to be a two-part video. My intention was to keep this one a little bit shorter, so that we can kind of lay down the basics, and then in the next episode we'll really get into some of the detailing, and some of the plantings, some of the other things that really make this place pop out, doing some lighting, and we'll take some time in a live mode to really give you a good feel for what the finished product is like. But before we jump off into some cinematics, I just want to say thank you for watching. Thank you to those who subscribed recently. I've had a bump in subscribers, so thank you all very much. I hope you're enjoying, and stay tuned for next time where we'll finish this one off. My name is Ferris. Thanks again. I will catch you in episode 7.